Hello everyone and welcome to the first video of the year. First of all, I recommend you to subscribe so you don't miss any content. In this third edition of the video course, we will review a little bit about the past. We will see the origin of advertising and how the first advertising mechanisms emerged throughout history. For as long as there have been products to market, there has been a need to communicate their existence. The most common form of advertising was oral expression. In Babylon, a clay tablet was found with inscriptions for a merchant, a scribe and a shoemaker dating back to 3000 BC. Already since the Egyptian civilization, an ancient city called Thebes, knew times of great economic and religious splendor. To this city is attributed one of the first advertising texts. The phrase found on an Egyptian papyrus has been considered the first advertising claim in living memory. Around 1821, a great variety of graffiti-style advertisements were found in the ruins of Pompeii that speak of a rich advertising tradition in which one can observe wine sellers, bakers, jewelers, weavers, among others. In Rome and Greece, the figure of the town crier was developed, who announced loudly to the public the arrival of ships loaded with wine, provisions and others, and was sometimes accompanied by musicians who gave the appropriate tone for the proclamation. This form of advertising continued until the Middle Ages. In France, tavern owners hailed wines and used bells and horns to attract customers. In Spain, they used drums and bagpipes, and in Mexico, town criers used drums to accompany announcements. Two advertising media emerged in Rome, the album and the libel. The album consisted of a white surface that was written on, whether it was parchment, papyrus, or whitewashed walls. Any white surface was used to publicize goods, announce spectacles, slave sales and communicate political decisions. The libel, considered the predecessor of the poster, was smaller than the album. Once the message or communique was written on it, it was glued to the wall. The printing press. Part of what is known today as advertising was born with the printing press of Johannes Gutenberg, who showed his invention to a group of merchants in Aachen. With the Nuremberg World Chronicle, a series of almanacs appeared containing the first forms of advertising. In 1453, the so-called Gutenberg Bible appeared and the famous almanacs became the first printed newspapers. The printing press allowed advertising messages to be more widely disseminated, and with the emergence of new cities, advertising was consolidated as an instrument of communication. Modern advertising. Modern advertising began to evolve in the United States and Great Britain at the end of the 18th century during the Industrial Revolution. Advertising agents were appearing. The first known was Volney B. Palmer, who in 1841 opened an office in Philadelphia in which he obtained considerable success. In Spain in 1872, the pioneer of advertising, Rafael Roldos, founded the country's first agency in Barcelona. At the beginning of the 20th century, agencies became more professional and selected more rigorously the media in which to place advertising. This is how creativity starts to be an important factor when it comes to developing an advertisement. In the 1930s, a famous creative technique was born, brainstorming, although it was not until the 1960s when it was used on a regular basis. David Ogilvy's contributions. It is worth emphasizing the contributions of the so-called father of advertising, David Ogilvy. He was one of the most prominent men in the world of modern advertising and one of the few thinkers who forged this business after the 1920s. Ogilvy was during his life a cook, salesman, diplomat and farmer. In 1938, Ogilvy emigrated to the United States, and it was not until then that he began his fruitful career as an advertiser, working at George Gallup's Audience Research Institute in New Jersey. In 1948 he founded the Hewitt, Ogilvy, Benson and Amp. Mather Agency with offices in New York, which eventually became Ogilvy and Amp. Mather Worldwide, with the financial backing of the London agency, Mather and Amp Crowther. In 1962 Time magazine named David Ogilvy the advertising industry's most sought-after wizard of the time. His ideas and techniques about advertising, in which he emphasizes the use and concepts of persuasion, language, writing and skills, keep these tools relevant to this day. He launched the concept of brand image, and together with Bill Bernbach, laid the foundations of the so-called creative revolution. The idea was to emphasize the importance of brands in themselves and make the product itself the true protagonist of advertising. Some of the phrases he immortalized within the advertising industry are, "Never make an ad you wouldn't want your own family to see," "The best way to get new accounts is to create for our clients the kind of advertising that will attract future clients," "Inside every brand there is a product, but not all products are brands," "When advertising for fire extinguishers, start with fire," "Don't compete with your agency in the area of creativity," among others. And so far, we have finished this third block of video course that will help us to know and understand the advertising industry. For those who have questions or concerns with any PTC, we invite you to the Hats Up group where you can interact with people who are already dabbling in this, or to have a direct deal with me. We leave the link to the group below in detail or comment anchored to this video. And if you are interested in the business of the advertising industry, I recommend you to subscribe, to be aware as soon as possible of new PTC sites. See you soon.